And welcome to the Week 2 Fantasy Wall Street, brought to you by the Fantasy Football Advice Network. We're going to be looking at some players you should be looking to buy before their value skyrockets, or players you should be trying to sell at their peak or before their stock just tanks. Okay, Kyle, give me some good fantasy financial advice.
Absolutely. So we've talked about in the past how fantasy football is this reactionary, knee-jerk, panic industry.
Man,
So
no
I'm
joke.
gonna, so I'm going to start with someone that you should not be freaking out about, and that is Devonta Smith, and I guess subtext AJ Brown. But for me, I'd rather have Devonta Smith. I think he's going to have a better year this year than AJ Brown, in fact. But um, to me, these wide receivers, they're going to be great this year. They're going to have better game scripts. That Dallas game was kind of weird, week one, odd. They were running really well, so they didn't really need to throw a ton. Dallas' secondary played a lot better, I think, than anybody expected. So don't freak out on Devonta Smith. Go try to get him in any league that you can. I think you can get him for one of these other people that I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, I agree that it's very reactionary and people are freaking out way too quick. There's reason why AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are fairly high draft picks, right? They didn't just fall off the face of the earth. There's a lot of players that had a bad week one, but you can use this to your advantage. And though there are so many panic players, that you might be able to go get Devonta Smith for a much discounted price for maybe someone who overachieved in week one. Maybe a Keenan Allen or someone you drafted last round or picked up off of waivers after the draft, and you've got him now, and maybe you can go trade him for a Devonta Smith, and you essentially put no capital in for probably someone's fourth round pick.
Yeah, or later.
Yeah, or later. Yeah.
For example, my first sell of the night, Keon Coleman. He had a heck of a game against the Ravens. That game was insane. I hope you
Mhm.
got to watch that. I hope everybody got to watch that game. It was so
So
much
fun.
fun. But like his second touchdown was it literally bounced off and landed right in his lap. Like Josh Allen spreads the ball around.
Yes.
Right? Dalton Kincaid looked pretty good. You know, there were quite a few guys that were catching the ball in that offense that night. But to me, Keon Coleman, this is probably going to be one of his best games of the season. When
Yep.
you talk about multiple touchdowns, he's not going to be able to just key in on him as much. Like you say, that one was even an accident. So um, he's not going to be able to key in on him on every game. Once people learn that he's becoming kind of the top dog, they'll start paying him more attention. He won't be as open. But you know, again, knee jerk reactions. Everybody's Keon Coleman's a wide receiver one now. So everybody's going out and trying to trade for him. Take advantage of that and sell him to one of these guys that are looking to obtain him and go get you a Devonta Smith.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is maybe a little bit of flash in the pan. I know that you mentioned him being a top dog. I don't think that he is the top dog. Like you said, the ball gets spread around a lot in that offense. And I think it's just going to be from week to week, it's going to be somebody else's turn. And this is kind of the Isaiah Likely situation from last year. I think Keon Coleman comes out week one. They have a game plan that the other team wasn't prepared for. He gets a couple touchdown catches, and it's not likely going to happen again. So, or if it does, it's not going to be consistent. So, sell him high, value very high right now. I agree with that.
Yeah, if I'm wanting a receiver in that offense, I'd rather have Khalil Shakir for sure.
Agreed.
He's going to be far more consistent. I think we do see a step forward from Dalton Kincaid this year as well, but that's neither here nor there.
In fact, Coleman might have had better opportunities because the Ravens were more worried about Shakir. And now other teams are
Maybe.
going to say like, "Oh, we really can't go ahead and not cover Coleman. We're going to have to cover him too." And so that might shut him down going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump over to the running back side of the aisle for a minute, and I'm going to give you another sell, and that is Dylan Sampson. He had fantastic usage this week one, and did a lot with those touches. However, while I do think he maintains some role in this offense over the course of the season, he had, 8 catches or something crazy.
Ridiculous.
That's where his bread and butter will be once Quinshawn Judkins is active and playing on Sundays. They drafted Judkins to be the guy. He's going to be the guy. But Sampson's going to be a nice placeholder in the meantime. I would try to trade him this week again while people are excited to get trades and the season's going, and he did great. If he has one more good game this week, then that's even more reason to trade him. We don't really know just yet if Judkins is playing week 2, so that's why I would say go ahead and maybe try to press the issue a little bit.
Yeah, I was surprised that Ford didn't get more playing time in this, and Sampson kind of came in and just handled the backfield. That was pretty surprising. But with Judkins coming in, like you said, he is going to be the man. If he plays at all in week 2, you're kind of screwed on Sampson. In fact, I would kind of hope that Judkins doesn't really play week 2, and I would be selling Sampson before week 2 still, so that somebody gets to experience maybe that 1 week that they might be needing him. Anyways, I agree with that. Sampson is kind of at his height, his peak value right now. So trade.
Absolutely. All right, I've got 2 Cowboys on this list, but I'm gonna hit RJ Harvey next and save the best for
Oh,
last.
all
Yeah.
right.
So RJ Harvey is a buy for me. He didn't get a lot of touches this week, but if you know anything about Sean Payton, you know he always defaults to the veterans and guys that have been around a little bit. It's no different with J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins had the bulk of the carries. Didn't do a lot with them, though. Wasn't super impressive. And like we saw, when he was with the Chargers, he'll start wearing down as the season goes along. He'll probably get hurt. Somebody else I saw on social media had the take that RJ Harvey is this year's Bucky Irving, and I concur with that thought 100%. I think if we're patient with him over this first maybe quarter of the season, that role is going to start growing, the carries are going to start going up, and he's going to end up being the guy by the end of the year. So he could be a league winner if you can get him now for cheap. I would definitely do it.
I could see the possibility there. I'm banking on J.K. Dobbins not staying healthy, and that offense as a whole just looked really bad in week 1. I think it'll get better even if Harvey ends up splitting time, him and Dobbins. I think you'll still get good production out of him, but there's definitely going to be some panic and some letdown after that week 1 performance that you might be able to go get him for a little bit cheaper now.
Yeah, 100%.
You have to move quick though, in case they get it together week 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, move now or forever hold your peace.
Exactly.
All right, first Cowboy, we're going to start with the negative. We're going to sell Javonte Williams. I know he did well last week fantasy points-wise. He fell in the end zone 2 times. If you look at his yards per carry, it wasn't super impressive. He did get pretty much all the carries except for a handful, and then Miles Sanders fumbled. But got the bulk of the work, got the important touches. However, I do think we're going to start seeing, similar to in Denver, we're going to start seeing Jaden Blue start to work into this lineup. He was inactive last week. I think we'll start seeing him become active, especially with the Miles Sanders mess up. Miles Sanders is not good. He was beaten out by Chuba Hubbard in Carolina. He's going to be beat out by Jaden Blue here. I think once Jaden Blue starts eating into that workload, we're going to see a pretty even split over the course of the year. So sell high on Javonte Williams and the double touchdown game.
Yeah, I think Williams was a big beneficiary of Jalen Carter getting disqualified at the beginning of the game.
Absolutely.
And I think that changed a lot of the game plan for the Cowboys to go to more of a run game, control the clock, and then they were able to punch it in at the goal line much easier. So I don't think the Cowboys went in with the game plan of running the ball like that. And so Blue being out, and then Miles Sanders fumbling the ball really hurts his value. But I think just kind of like we're talking about, the strategy of selling while their value is at its peak. right?
Yep.
Like, so now Javonte Williams, I don't think he's probably going to have many 2 touchdown games, but especially coming right off the bat when, like you said earlier, people are excited about trading, people are excited about some of these players that get caught up in the hype. But it looks good that he did it against the Eagles, even though there were some questionable circumstances in there. So as much as I love my Cowboys, I am not crazy about Javonte Williams. I have zero stock in him anywhere. And this is precisely the reason why. Like, I am not regretting that decision. If I had him, I would be looking to sell right now too.
Yeah, I think I've got him in one dynasty league, but I also have Jaden Blue in that dynasty league.
Yep,
So I've got
that's the way to do it.
the now and the future of that backfield. So, but as you said, the change in the game plan, shifting to more running, also lent itself to my last buy, George Pickens having a down week. Now, Dak Prescott, for one, looked pretty good for coming back off of that
Yeah,
injury. He was chucking the ball. George Pickens was this close to a couple of really big splash plays, drawing some PIs and stuff. That's going to happen with a player like Pickens when it's, hey, run as fast as you can down the field. I'm going to throw it up. You know, if when he beats these defenders, he's going to get PIs and not catches. It just is what it is. But Pickens is a very good receiver, and just like we were talking about with Devonta Smith, like don't freak out over one game. The Cowboys are going to be in a lot of games where they're having to throw the ball a whole lot, and Pickens is going to be a beneficiary of that. He's going to have games where he just goes off and catches a couple of deep balls and some touchdowns. So you're going to want him on your roster over the course of the season, 100%.
well, shout out to last week's boom bust video that we did. George Pickens was on the bust list, so you saw that one coming last week going into play Philly for his first game. Pickens is a great wide receiver, possibly playing with the best quarterback he's ever played with. Now, he does get in trouble from time to time, and we saw that in the first game, getting a 15-yard penalty there. But you know what? That does not affect his fantasy points. So I don't care about that in fantasy. I care about that as a Cowboys fan. But
Yeah,
as a fantasy player, I don't care about those penalties. As long as he's not getting thrown out or suspended, we're good. Just don't spit on somebody, you know? So
exactly.
I love George Pickens' fantasy value. Like you said, some people already talking smack on it, but I'm buying if I got the chance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, go out this week, send out some trades, try to make some magic happen, improve your roster, and get that big dub in week 2.
That's all right. Time to cash in. All right, guys. Good luck in week 2.
Good luck.